want answers? I think I'm entitled. You want answers? I want the truth. You can't handle the truth.
We are the Mad Men of Masculinity.
Your home for healthy masculinity. We're just real men having real conversations for you.
If you don't know, now you know.
That's right, folks. I am Kirkham Samuels.
And I am Jason B. Kendrick.
And we are the Mad Men of Masculinity.
That's right. We're just real men having real conversations for you.
Not for us, for you. Right now, I'm looking down at my phone.
Yeah, he doesn't like to make eye contact. He's on the spectrum. Don't look me in the eye.
Share.
Oh, sharing. That's what you're doing.
I just hit share on my timeline.
I thought it was your artistic thing.
No, because we are live right now at this very moment. I don't know if we record the streaming or if we stream the recording.
Yes.
One or the other, but either one. Right now, at this very moment, we are globally live.
We are live and direct all over the
face
planet.
Of the book in the tube of the U.
I like that.
We're on that bad boy.
The book of the face and the tube of the U.
Yeah, we're on them bad boys.
Yeah.
And of course, on KLDC 1220 AM in the Mile High City, as it says right above your head on the screen. You know,
other way.
Yeah.
This way?
That direction.
That way? Right. This way?
So if you're in a Mile High City, if you're driving around and all that kind of stuff, don't be watching us live on your phone. Just, tune the dial, man.
Mm-hmm.
You know, Saturday mornings at 8 a.m., Wednesdays at 6 p.m.
And you can stream it on the 1220kldc.com streaming app. So you know
all of them, man. Our radio, all of them. Is it one of them radio?
Oh, yeah.
You can tell Alexa to play
1220
AM KLDC, and she will.
Yeah, if you don't know what a radio is and you do everything on your phone, you can stream us.
You can do all that. You can do all the things. Podcast platforms.
Yeah, you might like it better stream it over the air because our producer Tanner chops it up and makes us sound professional. So you might like it better because we get some help. Because we need help.
Tanner's like the HGTV host that be making stuff.
We're making it better, more better.
Like Kuna Moore.
Yes.
And the 100-day challenge thing that they got going on.
Yeah, this poor guy has to fix and flip us every week.
Yeah, pretty much.
I don't know how he does it without pulling his hair out.
Speaking of hair. Where could this go?
I don't know. Knowing you, it could go south real quick.
Tanner's looking at me like, don't do it.
Don't do it.
He's got his finger on the cough button. He's got his finger on a 3-second delay right now. Speaking of hair. I got a lot going on, man, right in this moment right today, man. You know, as is no secret that, we both have careers outside of this. So busy day at work.
Yeah.
That was running me ragged.
Do we need to just go ahead and pull the hats off?
I got my phone just going off left and right, man. I mean, we got the summit this weekend.
Yes, we do. As you listen to this live on KLDC, we'll be at the summit.
That's right. And so man, Natsky texted me. He said, "Hey man, I'm gonna send you the deck when you get home, blah blah blah, the slides and this and that." Trying to get, trying to reach out to the sponsors, getting them to send this stuff. Man, I got, the wife at home doing her thing, my son out. I mean, I'm all over the place, man. And then I'm trying to hit the gym after we leave here. And so, long story short.
Yeah. Oh, here you go. It's like that.
I ain't even brushed my hair, man.
It's like that.
I ain't even brushed my hair
with
right
you.
now. I still did, man. And I mean, truth be told, I got on gym shorts.
I wish I did. I'm jealous.
Ashy right now. But I got on shorts and shoes. So I'm gym from the waist down. I'm radio from the waist up. It's like a radio mullet.
I like it.
I like it. But I say all that to say.
Are you busy?
Busy, dude. Busy, man. I mean, golly, man. I got all kinds of, just going left and right, man. And sometimes I don't even know if I'm, coming and going which way I'm moving, man.
Yeah, I'm right there with you. I had 7 moves today. I spent 4 relocations from inside the flight line on DIA out to the outside, and then I had to do 1 pickup from there, and then take 1 down to Lakewood. I was all over the place. And then tomorrow I get up early, go to Aspen, come back, go to Breckenridge. So it's just sometimes you get to a point where like, why am I working so hard for somebody else?
Well, I'll tell you what, man. Just to get out the door, man. The reason I was wearing the hat, because I was like, I ain't got time to brush my hair. The reason I'm wearing this shirt, is because I played golf in it yesterday and I watched it, so it happened to be sitting out.
Sure, you watched it.
I did watch it. Although it's my left armpit that stinks, my right armpit never stinks. That's an inside joke.
How's that?
But anyhow,
How's that work?
But I just happened to watch this shirt last night, so it was literally right there. So I was like, I'm throwing that on. I throw my gym shorts on, which I watched last night, and I was like, man, let me get out the door. So, but man, everybody's just busy, man. I mean, and busy is like the new 4-letter word. I think these days, man. You ask everybody how they doing, people don't say good. They say busy.
Yeah. That was one of the things I learned in one of my personal development things when we do the 90-day goal achievement thing, where we have coaches and a team and everything else. And actually our area director time called us the Woo Busy team, because every time they're like, hey, what do you guys? Oh, woo, busy. Oh, I don't know if I can fit that in. Woo, I don't. And it's interesting how nowadays that has become almost like a badge of honor. Like, oh, I'm so busy. I can barely even, keep everything straight. My whole calendar is so full and stuff.
Yeah.
And I got into a conversation about it and was watching some things and realized that I don't know that it's necessarily a good thing. I think a lot of us are woo busy, because we're actually really running from ourselves. We're not willing to stop long enough. And I see it for a lot of folks, especially at our age, because they're trying to be empty nesters. They're trying to get the last portion of their career. And it's like they've spent all these years being woo busy for everybody else. Kind of like that roles, the last episode we talked about roles. Like you played all these roles, and all of a sudden you get to a point where maybe they're falling away, or you're not as busy, or there's not as much to do. And it's like, are you just filling in the schedule so you don't have to look in the mirror and deal with yourself?
Well, that's the thing. We end up busy, but are we fulfilled? Right? We end up running. If you got kids, daggone well, you spend all your free time, especially when they're younger, running around to this activity, that activity, this sport, that sport, this private lesson, that private lesson. The school has a thing after school, and then this and that, and you pick your kids up from school, drop your kids off at school. I mean, it's you could just end up running and running and running and running yourself ragged to the point where you don't know if you're coming to go, and then time just maybe that's why it feels like time just goes by. It's like, man, it's already August. Oh, maybe it's because we just spent the last 7.5 months just busy, just running, doing stuff.
I'm glad you brought that up, because we had Dan Gomer, who has been on the show, is a friend of the show from eXp Realty. He played golf with us Sunday, and he was talking about that. And I think one of the things, especially as parents, you have to be very open-minded, and you have to keep your eyes open and pay attention, because I think a lot of times nowadays sports is getting co-opted as a money maker, because they're in your pockets for your kids, and now they're creating all these tournaments. And he was talking about how his son's in basketball, and it's not just school basketball. There's these like extracurricular tournaments in basketball leagues and things like that it was nationwide. They were taking them to Nebraska and Arizona and California. And he said that they saw that how their team was and what the brackets was set up, that they would be able to, because they probably weren't going to win the next game. So they would be done by that night or a Saturday night. Then they could make it home. So they made plans for Sunday to do all this stuff. Then all of a sudden, I guess it was sponsored by Puma. They just decided to throw them another game and basically guilt them like, oh, you got to stay. And he was like, no, not going to do it. And I think for a lot of us, there's so many things out there that are manipulating us to be woo busy and crazy busy that we are being guilted into. And it's because we've been monetized in so many different ways. I think even parents with their children, because you want to support your kids. You're loving parents. You want to support your kids. You want to get them out there, play their sports and stuff. But to what extent? Like, it's almost like with work, there comes a point with work, even like you sign your work agreement and you guarantee them that you'll do 40 hours a week and you'll put in this much effort, but then they always want more and more and more. So at some point you got to be like, well, what about me? Or are you the type that is using all of that as an excuse to not look in the mirror and go, well, what about me?
When my kids, my older 2 kids, they were in cheerleading, and you think, okay, cheerleading as a sport,
I heard it was crazy.
They wear suits and, and they just go and do, nah. The uniforms is off the chain. Dude, that bow that they got to wear on the top of their head at them competitions, see, some of y'all know the struggle. That bow, when you look at cheerleading competitions where they wear big, they have a ponytail with a big old bow, that bow would be like $100.
What?
I'm telling you, just the bow itself, not even the uniform. and not even the uniform, but yeah, this competition and that competition travel. Cheering wasn't even about the game. It wasn't about cheering for the game. It was about they got to compete. And then in order to be good on your team, well, then you need private lessons, and the private lessons are gymnastics. Cheer is basically gymnastics.
Yeah.
They got to learn how to do the flips and the tumbles and all this other kind of stuff. The whole team goes and they basically, have their practice. They buy out or rent out a gym and they do their thing. That was the older ones, and that was cheering. And the younger two, they did a swim team. I'm talking neighborhood, elementary school swim team. When you think of swim team, okay, the pool is there, right? You ain't got to buy the pool every time, right? You think you got the swimsuit, okay? Maybe you got a swim cap, okay? And that's it. No. The uniforms is off the chain expensive. I mean, the swim caps are off the chain expensive because, of course, you got to get it customized with your kid's name on it and the team logo and all that kind of stuff. And then, I forgot how many hundreds of dollars it was for just to be on the team. Every morning you're up at whatever it is, 5, 6 o'clock, going to the neighborhood pool to do swim practice. And then when they have the swim meets on weekend mornings, same thing. 5, 6 o'clock in the morning, you out there. I mean, man, you just end up running. And then as a parent, it's real easy as a parent to just even lose sight of who you are, lose sight of your marriage for the sake of running around with kids.
Yeah, I think it's something that I, from talking to you, and you need to talk to Everett because you guys have something else in common because he brought up cheerleading when we were talking about that. And I'm like, and he had that same look in his eye, like, woo. So, yeah, I mean, I think that's something that as parents, you got to look at that you're being co-opted and you're being sold and you don't realize that they're utilizing your kids to dig in your pockets and take over your time and everything else, because I think what they're doing is basically partnering with these different things. And then that's why everything's so expensive. You can't just go get something from Walmart or from Ross. You have to get whatever they tell you to get. And then you get stuck in that cycle. And at some point you got to go, well, what about me? Unless, of course, like I said, you're one of the people that are using all this woo busy and being co-opted and all that stuff to kind of run from yourself. But I think, it always comes back to, what about you? Are you doing it for you? Or are you just playing a role because you're being told that's what you have to do? And it's really easy to be manipulated when it comes to your kids. It's really easy to be manipulated when it comes to those you love, because you're like, well, of course, I want to support you. I want to love you. I want to make sure you have the best experience in your life. And then so business knows that. These people making these deals know that. So at some point you got to stop and go, well, is this really what I want? Is it even really what my kids want? I mean, how many of your kids probably were just kind of bamboozled in that? Well, my friend's doing it, I want to do it. And then there you go.
And I'll tell you what, there you go.
Where are we going?
There, let's go to a break. We'll be right back.
I don't want to go, David. So
KLDC. Lies. Tanner, what sport did you play, man, when you was?
He's soccer.
Oh yeah, you're a soccer dude. That's right. How can that picture you got on Facebook is from your back? It's like behind you or something.
Yeah, why you not
hide your face?
Yeah, see, Facebook is old time now. It's old school. It's just for old folks.
Apparently. Oh, my bad.
Apparently.
So you like, oh, Facebook is so old.
That's from crunchy old people. He's on the gram or on the TikTok.
Dude, Instagram kicked me off.
Yeah, he's been banned for life.
They literally deleted my account. I don't know.
Because we were promoting the summit?
Well, they first kicked me off of Facebook, but then I had to go through all kinds of hoops to get back on. Then all of a sudden, Instagram kicked me off. And their thing says, if I go in there right now, it says your account has been deleted. You cannot get it back. There's nothing you can do. And there was no reason. There was none of that kind of stuff, man. I don't think so.
I just didn't like the posts. Yeah. The censorship is ridiculous.
It says, we disabled your account. You no longer have access to Kirk Entertainment. Why did this happen? Your account or activity on it doesn't follow our community guidelines. What this means,
they don't tell you what
this means. No one can see or find your account, and you can't use it. All your information will be permanently deleted. You cannot request another review of this decision.
See?
Log out.
Yeah, you got to make a new account with
another email address.
Yeah, new email address. Yeah.
But it's like all the stuff I had saved on there. So anyhow, I got issues with it.
That's the whole thing. We use it basically for business, for this, for promoting what we're doing. And so
I had a bunch of workouts on there that I used to.
That's what did it.
And all that kind of stuff.
That's what did it.
Anyhow, all right, I'm gonna start winding.
Yes, we're back.
Yeah, we're back.
You got to get on behind the scenes.
I'm
We
just
had
for
a
real.
diatribe
I just
about
had a whole wine session about
Instagram
kicking me off for no reason and all that kind of
Yeah,
stuff.
see, we need the Mad Men Mafia to represent, because we're trying to promote the summit. We're trying to promote healthy masculinity. We're putting our heart and soul into all this stuff, and then the platforms we're using to promote to get the word out says that we're violating their community guidelines.
I think the problem was I was promoting it without paying them,
Oh,
and I wasn't
see.
buying ads.
See.
I've seen some ads that came across my timeline, and I'm like, dude, you gonna sell that on Facebook? Like you just gonna sell it like that, like on Facebook? I mean, so, and that's okay, but I can't, I think what it was is I was pushing and promoting, but I wasn't paying.
Right. Well, I mean, that's probably part of the community guidelines if you're trying to run a business page and you're not paying them. But that's the whole thing. I mean,
keeps you running.
Yeah, we're trying to end around and not give out all the money, and try to keep a little bit.
And giving out all the money, keeping a little bit. We're talking about the activities and running ragged. And I'm all about, if little Timmy or little Johnny or little Billy or little Susie or Sally or LaQuisha,
all them,
if they want to do some activity or some sport, cool. Do we need to invest all of the family's resources and time into that event or any and every event? Probably not. And I would bet you in most cases, it's not as important to the kids as it is to parents to be, my kid is in this, my kid is in that, and all that other kind of stuff. But, and then we end up running our kids ragged. Then next thing you know, we send them to school during the week. We send them to stuff before and after school. We send them to stuff over the weekend. Yeah, we traveling to this, we traveling to that. And it's like, in the end, how many of them even get scholarships, let alone go pro and some stuff? But we done spent and ran everything just trying to do something or be something that maybe we don't need to be.
That brings up a really good point, because it ties right into kind of the whole thought process of this episode was, are you so busy because you're running from yourself? Are you so busy and making your kids so busy that you're running from intimacy from your kids and your wife and your family and everything else? Like, why has it got to be so full, and who is it serving? Because it sounds to me like there's not a lot of emotional intimacy, which is one of my big things. It's something I was missing out on. So why are you being so busy? I mean, are you just being bamboozled into doing this because the system's kind of set up to get you woo busy and take all your money and your time? Or are you really buying into it because the thought of just having a family day at home without nothing to do, just being there together, frightens you so much? Because what if we talk about stuff? Or what if we bring up all the skeletons in the closet? Or what if we actually have a conversation and actually have some intimacy? Is that what's really getting you so busy? Because I think for a lot of folks, I mean, if they were really honest nowadays, they would say yes.
When you end up running around like that, I mean, you don't have dinners at home, sitting around the table, sharing. You don't get to, have depth. You can have, that's the whole mile wide and an inch deep, as opposed to an inch wide and a mile deep. Parents, couples don't, you don't spend a whole lot of time together because you're running from here to there and all that kind of stuff. And same thing with the kids, and I think it's a cultural thing, because we're probably the most connected society ever, meaning, we all got 5,000 friends on this social media. We all got a Rolodex full of phone numbers at our fingertips. Pretty much any one of us, if you have a smartphone, you can speak to the world with the press of one button. So we're connected. I mean, that feeling when you leave your phone at home. You'll make a U-turn halfway to wherever you're going to go back and get your phone. But we're not attached. Like we don't get attached to each other. We don't spend time and have the depths of all that kind of stuff, because we are just running and running and running. You can be, two grown empty nesters and still get to the phase of life or cycles in life where you don't get to sit down at the end of the day and share about your day or what's going on, what you're thinking about, your wins, your losses, your struggles, your victories, all that kind of stuff. And, that happens even when you don't even have kids at home.
Yeah, that's a great point, because it brings up the infiltration of social media and having that big computer in your pocket and having all these distractions and the dopamine hits and the dopamine addiction. Because when you actually take the time, and there's a great book, the 3-day reset or 3-day effect, and it was done by college students in Boulder at CU who actually took people out into the woods, into nature, without any electronics for 3 days. And once you did that dopamine detox, and once you got away from those electronics, you got away from the EMFs and the Wi-Fi signals and all these other things, and also mainly get away from the distraction of all the pings and all the dopamine hits you get every time you get a ping from a text, social media, email, whatever it is, which is going off constantly. I mean, Kirk was just talking about that. We're working on the summit, and our phones were just blowing up all day long. I'm driving the truck and I'm seeing it. I should be looking at the road. I'm looking at my phone. What are they saying? What are they saying? But if you take 3 days out, away from all that distraction, away from the phones, away from all this EMF stuff here in the city, you actually get back to who you are. And I know when I did my 48-hour solo thing at the men's leadership seminar out in California, by the time we got to the end of it, I was so grounded and so happy. I was mad when they came to get me. And it was funny because I also remember I was mad because all these goals I had at that time that I thought were things I really wanted, when I sat there in silence by myself in nature for 2 full days, by the end of it, I was like, do I really want that? Why do I want that? Because you have time to actually be with yourself, ask yourself questions, and then actually come up with what is it you really want. But this woo busy, I'm so busy, I can't stop for a second, is probably keeping you from actually finding out who you really are and what you really want.
But I think our phones make us busy, even when activity is not busy. We may not have a whole lot of busy activity actually doing things, but activity is not even just physical, it's mental as well. And the busy is not even just physical, not even just calendar schedule wise, it's mental as well. And when we're too busy mentally, then we don't get time to decompress. We don't get time to have our brains reset. How many of us actually get 8 hours of sleep at night? Whether you got to get up and use the bathroom 4 or 5 times or not, that's different. But just get 8 hours of sleep from the time you lay down to the time you actually wake up. And how many of us wake up to our cell phone? I mean, literally, that's your alarm. And then one of the first things you check when you wake up and all day long. I'm guilty of this. All day long, you just on your phone, you're doing more than one thing, man. I'll be working and I'll have YouTube playing over here on this while I'm working. And then I'll have my cell phone over here going off and this and that, and then I may have Alexa playing in the background, playing some, 90s R&B or something. And it's like your brain never gets that downtime. I love vacations where we aren't on our phones, and maybe during the week, and maybe we need to schedule either phone-free zones in our life and in our home, or schedule time and activities where it's not an activity, where it's downtime. Like nothing is something. Maybe sometimes we need to schedule some nothing. How about let's just go to the park and let's just stop at whatever Subway or Jersey Mike's or something on the way, and we'll go down to Wash Park and just sit and chill and eat.
Yeah, there's something, if you cannot, especially nowadays, I know a lot of guys are that way because they're so they're type A, they're so busy, they're wired to be busy. If you cannot sit still, and that's one of the reasons I think they do that at the men's leadership seminars, because a lot of those type A's lost their minds until they had to go through that process of decompression, which they have never done or very rarely. But it's something that we need to do. Is when we had Adam Feuerstein from the Forge on, and he was talking about, he has an alarm set and he has his Wi-Fi and all his electronics set on a light switch, so he can just flip the switch. Now the Wi-Fi is off. We're off the internet. We're off the boob tube. We're off the games, and now it's just us time. And that's something we need to reintegrate back into our lives, is getting away from the electronics that keep us so wired, to keep us, because when you really break it down, none of that stuff is fulfilling. None of that stuff is actually doing you any good. It's just keeping you distracted. And that's kind of the point. They want you distracted. They want you, entertained and distracted, so that you don't actually stop and go, well, what about me? What about my family? What is it that I want? And do I agree with all this stuff that's going out in the world? No. If you're distracted and entertained, you don't see what's actually going on. You don't have the bandwidth, the attention span to actually go, oh, I don't agree with that. I think I want to group up with my family and friends and make changes. But when we're distracted and entertained, we don't see that, and we just go along to get along.
And the world will offer us no shortage of stuff to do. Like there's always stuff to do. You know, when we've been scheduling this whole summit thing, I'm like, you know, there's always something. Like no guy is doing nothing. You know, on a like there's always something to do. You have to carve out time and be intentional about the things that you want to be and need to be intentional about. I mean, you need to be intentional about things that are going to help you grow. Things are going to help you fill your cup, because we spend life just pouring out of. But guess what? If your cup is never full, then you're going to be pouring out of an empty cup, and you just standing there with the cup like that, you know, and there's nothing coming out. There's nothing coming out of your life because it's empty. There's no refilling. There's no in. It's all out, and we write all the way to the margins of life, the margins of the page, and you know, if there's no margin, you can't read. If there's no space, you know, you can't breathe. Your lungs even, I mean, it's space. You require space to just live. And when we don't create space and create opportunity for space in our life, then we just live compressed, and we just live a compression life that is not fulfilling. And we get to the end of our life and it's like, well, what did I do? Mm-hmm. You get to the end of a day. What did I do? I mean, the end of a week, the end of a year. What did I do today? And you don't know because you were just going and too busy.
Yeah, if you don't set time aside, that's one of the things that I try to do, and sometimes it's at the detriment of the things I want to accomplish. But you know, I've worked all day. I come into the studio. When I go home, I don't want to do anything else, but I still have things to do. There's still a to-do list. You know, sometimes you just have to schedule that time. You just have to pick a day. Or you say from this time to this time is work time, or from this time to this time is downtime. You got to have decompression time. If you don't have decompression time, you're going to lose yourself in the wash, in the mix, because there's always more out there to get your attention and make you busy.
Always something. You don't even have to look for it. It comes to you. There's always going to be a new series on streaming. There's always going to be a new show coming out. There's always going to be a something new on your timeline. There's always going to be something new that says, hey, look at me. But the most important things in our lives are quiet. The most important things that we need to be pursuing are the things that are silent. Silence is something you know, how often do we get in silence? You know, a lot of times we have noisemakers when we go to sleep.
Yep.
I mean, how often do we just schedule in silence?
Remember when we were kids, before cell phones, when you got on a bus or you were waiting for a bus or you were on a train or something like that? That was it. You're looking out the window, or maybe you're reading a book, but you didn't, you know, not you will. I catch myself so much now waiting in line or even stopping at a stoplight, and you immediately reach over to hit the phone. Like that dopamine hit it. We're so addicted to it now that we need to justify for ourselves and schedule and create dopamine detoxes and phone-free zones and time off.
Speaking of time off right now, we're going to take time off for a little break. We need some space. We need some space
from y'all.
Space for some breaks.
From us.
We'll be right back. Mad Men of Masculinity.
And we're taking a break.
Yeah, breaks.
It's a mental health break.
I'm taking
taking a pre-workout break. Crackhead. That stuff. I remember when I first started getting back into working out, and my first time was the pre-workout, and all your blood vessels open up and your whole body's tingling. I'm like, I don't know if I like this.
It's funny. I always know when it kicks in because my face tingles.
See?
Like right in my forehead.
You're like, oh.
I mean,
I can feel it. You can feel it.
That's when it begins to kick in. Then I go up in there and get up under that weight, and I feel like, ooh, yeah. Because, you know, it's Monday. It's International Chest Day. So, you know, if it's Monday, you're supposed to be in the gym working chest.
Okay.
That's what it is.
I always thought you started off Monday with leg days because when you do legs, since they're the largest muscle, you generate more testosterone, and it gets you more boosted up for the rest of the week.
I do legs on Friday. I get up early Friday morning at 6 and go do legs.
That's why you can't walk on Sunday. Your golf games mess up.
Yeah, that's probably why. That's probably why. That's fair.
All right, let's go. Yes, we are back.
Yeah, y'all home. We back.
You missed it.
Yep. We just solved my golf problem. We solved my golf problem.
Well, if I don't do legs,
my leg day is Friday, so I'm all jacked.
You're all sore on
Sunday morning.
But I don't do legs on Friday like you do. What's wrong with my golf game? I don't have an excuse like you do.
It's terrible.
But I'm trying. I'm trying really hard, man.
No, man. But hey, making space, man.
Yes.
It just flashed in my mind. Man, I remember back in the day when TV went off.
Yeah, remember 11 o'clock,
I
12
remember.
o'clock.
TV went off. Man, you played that national anthem, and then that was it. That
No
was it.
mas.
Hey Tanner, did the TV go off when you were little, or are you too young?
The
never
TV,
mind.
like
That-
no, that
yeah, hell
no. No, he's way
He
too
don't
young
know.
because he I don't. They probably had cable your entire life. Like there's never.
Yeah.
98. Okay, yeah. See,
Boy, that 90, man.
wow. Because I mean, it was in the mid late 80s when
What
cable
day
started.
is your birthday? Dude, I remember what I was doing that day.
It's coming up. You gonna be a man now? What?
I remember what I was doing that day.
What?
Showing up.
August 30th, 1998. Remember what you were doing?
Sure did.
That sounds like a bad story. I don't know what's going on. Yeah.
Yeah,
Wasn't in prison, was it? It wasn't in the shower?
No.
Okay.
I was actually about to relocate to here. My oldest daughter
Oh.
was about to turn 2 the next day. And that was at the end of my Coast Guard career, and I was about to transition out here.
That is a memorable. I remember when I got out of the Air Force. You're like, you remember that? That's a
bro, August 30th.
wow.
Anyhow, so the point is, back in the day, TVs like went
Yeah.
off. Like at whatever o'clock, there was no more TV. Like they played every TV station, meaning all three of them,
There was only 3.
played the national anthem, and then that was it until the next morning. And there was just space, man. Now, oh man, you can't ever consume everything that's even on TV. TV is not really even a thing. It's all
No.
streaming.
It's like, and it's all it's just attention grabbing garbage that when you really look at it, there's almost no new stuff. It's just the same thing recycled with different people playing it, different music, whatever. It's just the same stuff, and it's getting really old because it's just like, how many times can we watch the same thing with different faces?
Now what they're doing, especially like on Netflix and maybe Amazon too, now they're starting to play some like foreign produced series.
Lots of Bollywood
and
stuff.
there's a lot of like, they audio dub the words, and so the mouth don't match the words.
I can't watch those.
So they do a lot of that kind of stuff, and now it's like, all right, here's speaking of age. So now you don't just watch stuff and listen to it. Now you got to have subtitles on it. Dude, I got to have subtitles on when stuff be coming on, man. It's a lot, man. And I don't know if that's just, I don't know. But while they're watching something, you're watching something.
You're on YouTube or Netflix with your phone in your hand, trying to multitask. Hey, did you hear the subtitles joke for the ladies?
No.
Why do ladies watch shows with subtitles?
Oh, man.
Because they don't know how to listen?
Oh, man.
Sorry, I thought it was funny. Y'all can hate me later. Put it in the comments.
Please, here's Jason B. Kendrick. info@jasonbkendrick.com.
Yeah, go ahead and send those emails in.
I mean, yeah.
Hey, I heard it from somebody else. I'm just
That's
repeating it.
him.
I'm just
That's
repeating
him.
it. It was funny though.
He's the lighter skinned one. Between the two. Don't get us confused. That wasn't me. That was him.
But I mean, it comes right back to how much are we willing to allow ourselves to be manipulated and distracted. I mean, maybe it's entertaining, but I even think about that sometimes too. I remember when the cable went out and the power went out one time, and I was like, well, I can't watch TV. I was so much more productive that day. I got so much more done. But when we're just so programmed to get home, turn on the TV, grab some food, sit on the couch, like we don't even make real dinners and go sit around the table as a family anymore. And now we're so also isolated that maybe we're just all singles living in our little apartments. I mean, I was thinking about it, like maybe we need to do a Friendsgiving, like all these apartment buildings, all these singles need to do Friendsgiving or Floorsgiving, where like the next time there's Thanksgiving, you just put a big table and a potluck and get everybody out of their rooms. Because how many people are just alone all the time because we've been isolated, and we think that's normal because, oh, well, I don't need anybody. I just go home and turn on the TV and I'm entertained and my time is just wasted. And then I'm manipulated by advertisements and big business to think I want this thing or want that thing. I mean, nowadays, like I'm one of those, I love when I go traveling because my phone becomes ancillary. It's just in the bag. I love to go hiking and get out in the woods and leave my phone at home. But when the last time I lost my phone and I was attempting to do business, you cannot do any business. You cannot do any banking. You cannot do anything nowadays without your phone because of the 2-3 step verification, and they got to ping your phone, and they got to ping your email and do a lot of stuff. So they're trying to make it so that you cannot get rid of those things. But there was a time where we both remember it. 3 channels, the phone was on the wall, and when the streetlights come on and got dark, that was it. There wasn't anything else to do. You went to sleep.
And now we got the phones, and the phones are tracking us. The phones are listening to us. The phones keep us plugged in, keep us dialed in to all the stuff. And then we end up going and going and going and going, thinking we're the Energizer Bunny. But the battery always runs down.
Mm-hmm.
And if we don't find a way to recharge our battery, especially as men, especially as men, man. I mean, if we're going to be standing watch on the tower, if we're going to be manning the wall of the kingdom, of the fortress, we need to be, our cups need to be full. Like, we need to receive as much as we give. And I know the stereotype is that, that women just are the ones to give everything. And, if there's a good man out there, he probably is doing a lot of things for a lot of people, and probably a lot of things for a lot of people that nobody even knows about. He's doing a whole lot of things, and you got to be intentional about that. I mean, we'll do our thing. Me and my wife will do our things on the weekends, and sometimes we just take a weekend and just do us. We just do what we want to do. We don't go to church. We don't go out and we do date night, date weekends. Matter of fact, last weekend was one of those, man. We, hey, let's go to Bojo's for dinner. All right, let's go to Bojo's, and after that, hey, you want to go to a movie? Yeah, that new Alien movie. We went to go see the Alien movie. I mean, just out of the blue, and it's like, what do we want to do? Yeah. Just filling that cup and doing all that kind of stuff, man. We had little date night, all that kind of junk, none of your business, mind your business.
Didn't ask, don't know.
And man, we just, but as people, especially as men, like, we need to make sure that our cups are full, because otherwise, man, we'll just run empty.
Yeah, and if you're running empty, it's probably because you're playing all those different roles for all the different people, and you're not taking time for yourself to recharge and doing something like that, like getting away from the phone. I mean, I think nowadays, that is the number one first step. Put down the electronics, get away from the phone, get out into nature, and just unplug. You got to unplug, because these phones will keep you running, then work will keep you running, then the family will keep you running. And then everything you're attempting to give and the impact you're trying to make is less than, because you're not full anymore. You're drained by all these different distractions and all these different roles you're playing. And a lot of times, and one of the things that is really coming to the forefront, I love that we do this work about healthy masculinity, is that ladies are trying to figure out now that the role that they're playing, they're supposed to be the heart. Men may be the lead or the head of the family. Ladies are the heart. So we give in these two different ways. But when we're being distracted and entertained and told that this is how we do things by somebody who's not us, and we don't take time to decide, what do I want? Who am I doing this for? What is in alignment with me? What is it for me and my family? When some outside, schools are telling parents how to be, businesses telling us how to be, government's trying to tell us how to be and who we should be and all this other stuff, instead of us being able to go, what do I want? How do I want to be? What is important to me? What fills my heart and fills my cup? Versus, let's be distracted all the time and have people who just want our money and our attention telling us how we need to be and what we need to do. And you wonder why we're miserable and sick.
We don't have a lot. We don't have hobbies these days. Most of us don't have hobbies. Mm-hmm. I mean, you think about a hobby is generally something you do to get away and to, whether it's, I don't know, fishing, hunting, biking, whatever it is, your thing. I mean, for me, I love golf for that. Just to get out. And matter of fact, we were talking about that yesterday. Just, he was like, man, this is great, man, just to get away. And yeah, I mean, you got to get out in nature. Who cares if you hide garbage and your ball goes sideways and all that kind of stuff. I mean, most of us ain't good enough to really stress about it. But just to get away by hobbies, man, do you have a hobby as a man? If you don't have a hobby, then maybe your life is just running too ragged.
Yeah. I mean, golf is just basically hiking with a purpose, or hiking with an objective, because
with a bag and sticks in the cart.
You're out in nature, you're going for a walk, you're getting your steps in, and you're chasing the ball around and having a good time with your boys. I mean, getting out in nature for hikes, for camping. I mean, I think camping is one of those things that needs to come back big time, because that unplugging and being out in nature And if you haven't sat, I mean, I keep thinking about this and I want to do it because it's been so many years that last time I sat, I used to always designate myself as a fire tender. Like anytime we had a bonfire or we had a cookout or something like that, I was tending the fire because I love nothing better than sitting in nature, staring into the fire. And it's recharging, it's relaxing. It's one of these things that we just don't have anymore. Most of us don't even have fireplaces in our homes anymore. Or if we do, it's the fake gas ones or electric ones. I mean, when you actually start a fire with wood, when you have a wood stove, when you're burning wood and you're tending the fire, you are more present in that moment than you probably have been in years because you're not being distracted by anything and you're just being centered in the moment.
There was one time I went up to a condo up in Frisco for a weekend, and I literally unplugged. I mean, I didn't have any TV. You know, I told a couple people where I was going and turned my phone off and all that kind of stuff. But you saying that reminded me, and I didn't have any clock in the agenda. I slept when I wanted to sleep. I was up when I didn't have anywhere to be, nothing to do. I brought some food with me, all that kind of stuff. But one of the most awesome parts of that weekend was when I had the fire going in the fireplace. And it was middle of the night. I don't even know what time it was, but just sitting there, just turning logs and watching how it's burning, just sitting there. And I'm like, a fire is a breathing, like it's a living thing. It's an organism. And so to just sit there and watch it and just, you know, to watch how it burns and where it burns. And like I said, to turn logs and add a log and all that kind of stuff, man, it was so peaceful just being able to do that. But we gotta be able to get off and do those kinds of things, man. We got to be able to get back to some simplicity in life. Otherwise, we're going to run ourselves ragged.
Yeah, we got to take the time, especially as men, to stop running from ourselves, stop running from intimacy, stop running from what would actually be an emotional connection with somebody or something, and start actually taking control and making those a priority. So many of us are running ragged and we're getting ourselves sick and tired because we're not taking control and ownership of our lives, of our energy, of our passions, of our emotions, of everything. And that's why we promote so much. You know, you got to look in the mirror and don't allow this woo busy. I'm so busy. I'm playing all these different roles for all these different people. But what about you? Who are you? And have you slowed down enough to even ask those questions and find that time and doing, I mean, something as simple as going away and starting a fire. Like a friend of mine has a cabin up in outside Breckenridge or Blue River. And that is one of my favorite things. I'll borrow his cabin for the weekend and just sit there with he's got one of those old timey wood stoves and just, you know, start the fire and just sit there and stare at it. We as men need that. I think that's primal. The being in a men's circle around a fire, being in a family circle around a fire is primal. It gets you back centered, it gets you back present. And you have to realize all of these things that we think are normal nowadays didn't used to exist. And we wonder why we're so scattered. We wonder why we're so sick. And we wonder why we're all anxious and have all these anxiety issues and whatever that word was, when you're allergies. Right. That's the thing. Wow, that went way like hit back. But we have all these things. We look at our lives and we're like, why are all these things here? Well, maybe it's because we stopped having that time to be ourselves. We stopped looking at the fire. We stopped creating fire. We stopped slowing down. Everything is speeding up.
We'll be right back. Mad Men of Masculinity.
See, that was speeding it up.
Boom.
You didn't even give me this time, man. I
looked down. I was like, ooh, 14 minutes. Ooh.
That's okay.
My pre-workout's kicking in.
Starting to get itchy.
Feel it.
Crackhead. Good. So remember, everybody, when you're watching us behind the scenes, you can comment. You can go on to the YouTube page of Mad Men of Masculinity, and you can comment live. You can go to our Facebook page, Mad Men of Masculinity, comment live. You can tell us how much you hated my joke because I thought it was fine.
Yeah, sure. Yeah. You see that you just dig holes for you.
Well, I figure if you can't take a joke, you ain't my friend. Is it time?
It's time.
We're back.
Fourth quarter, baby.
Fourth quarter.
Fourth quarter, man.
Fourth and goal. Let's go.
KLDC 1220 AM in the Mile High.
Everywhere. I know how busy you are. I know how distracted you are, but you know, it'd be good for you to go for a walk and listen to us talk.
We made it easy for y'all to listen to us everywhere.
Made it easy. You can get us anywhere.
for real.
And sometimes we're funny, sometimes we're insightful, sometimes we're pushing buttons and stirring the pot, but it's always good for you. It's good for the soul.
But we got to have opportunities to just decompress. We got to have time. One of me and one of our buddies, Jeff, we haven't done it in a while. We're way overdue. But man, we, every couple of weeks or once a month or something like that, man, we meet up at the cigar lounge and just sit there and chill and have a cigar and just talk about life, talk about marriage, talk about whatever, man. I mean, nothing, it wasn't deep, it wasn't therapy, but it was therapeutic.
Yeah.
And just stuff like that, man, whether it's golf for you, whether it's a cigar lounge, I don't know, whatever your thing is, man, get down however you get down, but you gotta be intentional about those things. Like, it ain't gonna happen. You gotta say, hey, we're gonna put this, we're gonna put this down on this day at this time. We're gonna go do this. Otherwise, it just won't happen.
Yeah, I mean, there are so many things out there. Like, shout out to Todd Barney because they just opened the brand new Colorado karting track down in Centennial at the airport. If you want to do something that will focus you, that will recharge you, that will bring your spirit back and make you feel young again, go karting. Get there, go drive 60 miles an hour, 2 inches off the ground, a little go-kart. It is something that will focus you and recharge you. But if you don't have anything else, I mean, it's a great example of something to do. I mean, I know I was talking to a lady friend that was at one of the Denver Great Minds events, and she was like, my husband needs something. And she said, well, he likes to race. I'm like, oh, well, there's the Colorado karting racing. There's the tour. There's all the events. I mean, find something that gets you away from the phone, get you out of the house, get you focused and present. Because when you're racing, you're not thinking about anything else. A lot of times when you're playing golf, you're not really thinking about anything else. A lot of times when you're out in nature or by a fire, camping, you're not thinking about all those things.
Yeah.
And that's what we need. We need to be able to shut off and allow presence. Because back when we were kids, when we were talking about this, like, there was no cell phones. When you got on the bus, you were on the bus. You were looking out the window. You were playing with the seat.
And all kids knew what time it was to come home. All kids knew what time you needed to be home by. When you was outside playing and you looked up and you saw the street lights come on, everybody got to go.
I remember
it was pretty universal, man.
Yeah, I remember we were living in Germany, which is much farther north on the globe than where we were living in the States, and it was summertime. And the streetlights didn't come on until 10:30, almost 11 o'clock. And they were all yelling at me, why are you so late? I'm like, the streetlights just came on.
Yeah.
And they were like, oh.
There you go. That's fair. But yeah, I mean, I'm thinking about it like, man, we haven't been. I mean, just going to the park, man. Just going to the park and just sit. I mean, at this point, basically the summer has come and gone. Kids are back in school now. And like, have you been to the park to just sit and just sit in the grass and just chill and do nothing? Have you been to some place where it's just you? I mean, have you sat somewhere? Have you sat by an ocean? Have you sat on a mountain? Have you sat just in a field? Have you made room for nothing? If you haven't made room for nothing, then nothing is what you'll have at the end of a day, a week, and a life when you look at what was fulfilling in your life.
Yeah, I think it would be a great time to challenge all parents who have kids that just gone back to school, since today is the first day of school for Denver public schools. Maybe it's time for you to drop your kids off and then go take an hour or two and go sit in the park and think about all the stuff that you got to do and all these things and prioritize them. Because like we were talking about before with the kids' sports and everything else, that can take over your life. And you won't have any time because you want to make sure your kids play sports. You want to make sure your kids are fulfilled. But is that too much? You're the only one that can decide. And how can you decide when you're so busy you can't even stop to think? Maybe you need to drop the kids off and go spend half a day out in the park just staring at the swans and the fountains and figuring life out again.
Dude, just go for a walk. I mean, when's the last time folks have been for a walk? Like, I mean, and at least where we live, Colorado, is pretty good with trails and all that kind of stuff. There's trails everywhere, man. I mean, but when's the last time you've been somewhere just for a walk? I mean, whether it's the evening, whether it's the weekend, whether it's the morning, middle of the day, as opposed to lunchtime at work, going to get food and bringing it back to your desk or eating it in the vehicle or whatever. Just I'm gonna go for a walk. I'm gonna go for a 15, 30-minute walk. I mean, just simple things that break the monotony of busy. Because if you don't break the monotony of busy will make your life monotonous.
And it will make you sick. It will make you tired and probably kill you early. But I mean, it's simple. There are simple things you can do as well. I was watching something and there's a great de-stressing technique, which is basically breathing. And most of us, when we're so busy, we forget to breathe. We're shallow in our breathing. We don't take time to deep breath. And that's why being out in nature, going for a walk, doing something that makes you have to breathe deeply and fill your lungs and have this moment of presence, because when we're so busy, we're in this shallow breathing and we don't ever get a chance to just and taking the time. Yeah, take the time. I mean, the best way to de-stress if you're in a stressful situation and you want to be able to de-stress is to fill your lungs up, like belly breathing all the way up. And then once you get full, stop for a second and then a little more, just another little breath, and then let it all out with a sigh. Just let it all out. And that'll bring you back to the present moment and you'll be able to de-stress. But so many of us have lost the ability to de-stress because we are so busy and we're so busy running from ourselves that the thought of de-stressing and being present scares us to death. So we're challenging you, especially as men, to learn how to de-stress, learn how to be present, and find out who you are again.
It's a trip that the present can be scary. Like right now it can be scary. I mean, you know, and we gotta, you know, am I afraid of right now?
Yeah.
Am I afraid of this moment? Like, am I afraid of my thoughts? Am I afraid to just be by myself and with myself? I mean, because, you know, you can be by yourself, but not with yourself. But, you know, maybe, I mean, could we be as a society afraid to be with ourselves and to, you know, and to go into that place that we think could be so scary, but it really could be so fantastic? Just to have nothing. That would be, I mean, that's a relief, just having nothing.
Well, that's a genesis of all meditation practices, is to become familiar with. Meditation means to become familiar with. And so you're attempting to slow down your mind, stop thinking, analyze your thoughts, and become familiar with who you are. Become familiar with how your mind works and what's going on in your mind, and then realize that that doesn't really matter. I mean, all meditation techniques are trying to take you out of yourself back to the source, out of yourself back to God, or whatever you want to call it. And if you don't take the time to become familiar with your mind and yourself and your presence, how can you become familiar with God or your source?
And, you know, I find when I go into that space, when I say that space, I mean, when I intentionally do nothing, and even 2 times where I do want to meditate, if that's the word you want to use, you know, rarely, if ever, does my mind go blank. But I follow my thoughts and then I just kind of bring it back. Follow my thoughts and just kind of bring it back. And it ends up being like an ocean wave. And, you know, the tide goes out, the tide comes back in. If you ever stand on a beach, you see that flow of water go out and then you see that flow of water come back in. And to me, that's literally the ebb and flow of what that space looks like. But you can't be afraid to go there. And, you know, sometimes it can be hard at night to just lay down and go to bed because you're just thinking about this. I'm thinking about that. I'm thinking about this thing from today and that thing from tomorrow and that thing from next week and that thing from whatever. And at some point, man, we got to get to the space where we are comfortable just in the.
Yes. I like that little moment of silence. But, and that's one thing too, a lot of people think that meditation is just sitting in lotus position on a bed of nails, but walking is meditative. Playing golf is meditative. Gardening is meditative. You know, just doing some arts and crafts is meditative. Working on your car is meditative. Anything that gets you kind of in that zone where your brain stops. And a lot of times for a lot of us, we need to keep our hands busy. So, you know, when the ladies are crocheting, they're meditating. When they're sewing or whatever, they're meditating. When we're doing whatever it is we're doing, painting or crafting or woodwork or work on the car or the lawn, mowing the lawn is one of the most meditative things most guys do, and they don't realize. That's why so many guys, that's their thing. Like, I'm gonna mow the lawn on Saturday. That's my time. I'm gonna weed, and they take so much pride in their lawn. And it's not as much about the pride in the lawn as it is about that time they get to spend on their own meditating.
I did that this past weekend, man. I went to go wash the car, and
did you by hand or did you go to
me? I went to one of the outdoor ones with the jet thing. You know, you put the money in there, and you know they keep getting you to do a couple more minutes, kind of thing. The hand thing, the pressure thing, and blah blah blah. And then I just wiped it down and just whatever. And then, then I think I went to like Walmart or something. And then there's a Sonic right by the Walmart. So I just went to Sonic, got me a Route 44 cherry limeade. And I just sat there. I just sat outside Sonic with my little limeade. I'm sure people was looking at me like, what in the butt? And that was weird. Like it was, a grown man, a grown A man just sitting outside Sonic with a Route 44 cherry limeade. And I probably sat there for a while just thinking and listening and watching, people and all these other kind of things. And, man, it can also be great to go sit at the mall and just watch people.
Oh yeah, people watch.
Just sit at the shopping mall and just sit there and watch people.
Yeah, I love going to the airport and just watch people. You try to figure out where they come from, where they're going, and all this stuff. But it's just, taking time sometimes just to be.
Yeah.
We're so busy as men doing. We're human doings. We're running around playing all these roles, and we've forgotten how to just be.
Yeah, we end up do, and then our lives become doo-doo.
Oh man!
And then I'm just saying, dude.
It's true though. It hurts because it's true.
Just do, and it should be more be.
Yes,
I mean, more being and less doing.
Yes.
And when we get to that point in life, especially when we get to that point in men, we can just be me and stop trying to do. Then that's the point where we get more secure, we get more settled, we get more grounded, all those other kind of things.
You got to remember, men, we're the rock, we're the pillar, we're the flagpole, we're the riverbanks in our relationships with our women, and all those things have one thing in common: they're solid and they're just being.
Yeah.
They're being what they are. And if you're too busy doing, you probably don't have time to fulfill that role that you're meant to fulfill, being that rock, being that pillar, holding the things up because you're too tired and too busy and too distracted.
And if you're anything like me, you could be watching TV or watching the movie and on your phone.
Mm-hmm.
You could be at dinner and on your phone. You could be laying in bed and on your phone.
Yeah.
I mean, you could be doing all kinds of things and being on your phone and not just being anywhere that you are. Literally just in the moment. You can just be going and going and going, and just miss out on life, miss out on the beauty of it all.
That's something I started doing. Was I leave my phone in the living room. I have an actual old-fashioned clock radio that plays the classic music channel when it goes off, and that's my alarm clock. But I also set on a do not disturb time from like 8 or 9 till like 4 a.m. when I get up, so that there's no disturbance. Like, put your phones away. But of course, I'm still battling with it, because as soon as I get up, first thing I do is go grab the phone and check the weather, check the emails, and get the day started.
Holla at your boys,
Yes.
madmenradio.com. Check us out. I mean, KirkandJames.com, JasonBKendrick.com, and you can find us anywhere. We ain't hard to find at all. And so holla at us. Let us know what you like, what you didn't like, what you agree with, what you didn't agree with. If you hate us, put a whole lot of comments in there and hit the like button and or the heart, and you'll never see us on your timeline again.
And I just put back down menempowerment.net. You got 5 days to get your tickets and come see us Saturday, August 24th, 2024, the Parker Schoolhouse. Kirk speaking, I'm speaking. You can come in and tell us how much you love us or how much you disagree with our point of view.
That's right.
Either way, we love you.
Until next time, the Mad Men are
Out.